everybody. Welcome to another edition of I'm Talking Baseball. That's all you want to hear about my singing. Otherwise, the Memorex will get broken. Anyways, glad to have everybody this morning. Hope you enjoyed the early edition of Inside the Picks. And now we're going to be talking baseball as well. Katie and I, and obviously Jacob Lintner is going to be covering spring training as well. Eric, hope to get him in spring training. And Tony, I'm sure he'll find his way in one of those ballparks, doing what he does best and talking about the Diamond doings as well. Speaking of which, we have a new person on here. We're going to have him introduce himself to everybody. His name is Jacob Lintner. I had the good fortune of meeting Jacob out in Mobile, Alabama, and he was a big help to Candy and I when it comes to learning, getting to know the lay of the land, how they do interviews out there. Molly Middleton, what a really nice woman to work with. And they were all very helpful in terms of what we're able to do. There'll be a lot more football stuff coming out as we get closer to the draft. But Jacob was the first person I actually turned to for help, and you were fantastic. And when I stumbled onto the possibility that he liked baseball, he was the natural fit to come on the Saturday edition of Talking Baseball. And my goal here at the network is to develop as much good talent as they can. So even though some of these guys may not be making money with us initially, my goal is to put them in a press box so they can make money and build their tape. And that's what our goal is: exposure, exposure, exposure. You can't get enough of that. All right. Well, Jacob, I've said plenty. Now you get to talk and give me about whatever break you want to introduce yourself to everybody, and we'll get to the topics in a moment. Go ahead, Jacob. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Jacob Lintner, and I am a recent Florida State graduate. I've worked in media for Florida State here. I cover baseball, basketball, football, all of it. And I currently am a master's student at Baylor University through an online program. I've been interested in sports my whole life, grew up playing baseball for my whole life, played highly competitive against the likes of Drew Jones and even Archie Manning, and went on to earn a D1 scholarship to run cross country and track at Florida Atlantic University. And yeah, now I'm here. I'm interested in all the sports again, covering them more analytically. So right now I work for that. I also work for a YouTuber, and yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I one day want to work for an organization and help contribute to a team with my knowledge. So
I hope you get everything that your hard work and effort and energy put out. I'm always rooting for people. Like everybody on this show is really such a special show because all three of Eric and Tony will tell you when you were in our system, we give you the freedom to say what you want as long as you keep it kosher, you're respectful to your colleague, and that's what we try to do. Everybody has a chance to talk. On this format, nobody has to interrupt and talk over each other. Everybody gets a fair opportunity to speak what they want to, and that keeps the nature of the flow going as well. Anyways, Jacob, I'm so happy to have you on. With that said, since I'm so happy to have him on, we're going to do exactly what we're going to do. We are talking baseball, and let's get this bad guy going. There will be a lot of Milwaukee Brewers stuff on there. Why shouldn't there be? I got Candy Ebling and Eric Katz on there. And they got to fill the Brew Crew fans out there with a lot of information. And we're going to start by doing it this way. The Milwaukee Brewers signed catcher William Contreras for a one-year contract with a club option for 2027, avoiding arbitration. Eric, some thoughts on the move?
I'm happy they were able to avoid arbitration with him. I know that it was a little bit of a rocky offseason when they declined his option, but I'm glad he's coming back. He is the premier catcher in the league right now, and the fact that the Brewers are getting him back and we're able to avoid arbitration is huge. Because honestly, if you were to give out another extension, it would be him, because catchers are hard to find. I mean, it's one of the most important positions on the field. And, I think that having a guy like Contreras in the lineup is going to be big for the Brewers this coming season.
Katie?
Yeah, his new deal includes a club option for the 2027 season. He's 28 years old, and his production dipped a little bit last year. But if you don't know this, he only played 150 regular season games while playing through a fractured finger for most of the year. He actually underwent surgery this offseason to address the issue and is expected to be fully recovered by opening day. Obviously, a finger for a catcher is pretty major. So good thing that they took care of it off season. He's been a lightning rod for the Brewers. He's very good motivator and brings a lot of energy. So I'm glad that the Brewers were able to sign him a new deal and avoid arbitration.
Okay. All right, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, like she said about catches being few and far in between. We know the Brewers organization is always super good at making these right decisions. It seems that they always hit it, even when controversial. When like a Corbin Burns gets flipped, they somehow the prospects that they're developing and bringing up always seem to hit. And even with a minimal payroll, we see them back at the top of baseball. So I tend to trust this organization. I am a Pirates fan, as we can see with the shirt, but
That's okay.
unfortunately,
Well,
the Brewers are in my division, so they always make the right decision, and they always end up at the top of the NL Central. So I trust them with stuff like this.
good to know, because now that I have a Pirates fan on here, oh, I can't wait to throw a bunch of Pirates topics your ways when you get back on here in April. Good to know. We got everybody represented from everywhere. Now we got a pirate in the house. All right. I wish I had Mark Maraday on here, because he's one of my big Pirates people out there. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, Mark Maraday. He's right now happily retired and out of podcasting. He's a smart guy, but some of us aren't smart enough to just love doing it because we love the insanity. But yeah, I got a pirate guy in the house. It's good to know, Jacob. I'll have to keep that in mind. I got a bunch of them waiting in my pocket to pull out. Now you're the right guy to throw them in there with. Great stuff. All right, Tony.
First of all, Jacob, you my heart is with you, man, because it's a rough ride being a Pirates fan, but you are what we call a diehard and a true fan, because you sticking with your guys. But when it comes to the William Contreras move, great move by the Brewers. A lot of talent has left the Brewers recently in the last year or two. So to be able to keep talent in-house and avoid arbitration and possibly avoid arbitration another year, adding that year to his deal, that is great. I love incentives and deals like this, because that always allows it almost forced players to play a little harder. Not saying that he wouldn't, but when you have the $100,000 if you're MVP, yeah, that might be a long shot, but hey, why not go after that? 75,000 runner-up, 50,000 third place, 50,000 all-star selection. Like all those things, I've loved that, because you're going to get the best out of a player, because who doesn't love getting as much money as they can out of their contract? So it's a good move for the Brewers. But like Jacob said, even if it doesn't seem right in the moment, they seem to make the right moves long-term. So this is a Brew Crew move.
Okay, well, let's go to the chat room. God, love the show. Jennifer Lee Cobb, you're too nice. We love you, Jen. How's that sound? She's always been a good friend of mine as well. They had the greatest show on turf in St. Louis with the Rams. And I'll tell you what, Jennifer Lee Cobb, believe it or not, was a cheerleader on that squad. And one thing I liked about Jen is she's always had a fundraising when it came to Parkinson's disease. So I've known Jen a long time, and she's one of the nicest people out there. And God love you, Jen. Go Rams, go Jennifer Lee Cobb, and all the good things you have going. And I know Candy's putting everything up in the chat here so everybody can see it all over the network. So what is this? I don't know. Let's call it a baseball show. Last I looked, I don't know. Am I being sarcastic, sense of humor? Yeah, Kenny Mayne did a pretty good job of it for many years over at ESPN, and I don't have a Kenny Mayne bone in my body, except maybe that thing that Tony has called a interesting sense of humor that you get to utilize after a while, that's gravitated and made him a hit on the network, right, Tony? Keep it up. All right, with that said, what do I like about the move? I'm a catcher at heart. I played the position, and the only position on the diamond I could play with any good, because I kept my attention in it and got some concussions and some bruises along the way, but I wouldn't do it any other way. The Brewers knew they had to get themselves a backstop lineup for a couple of years, and indeed, that's exactly what they did. Let's continue on. Lots to get to today, so be prepared. We have up to 2 hours to do it. I don't think it'll get that long, but I have a lot, because we approach the World Baseball Classic and a lot of roster moves being made along the way. All right, well, let's go ahead. Another Milwaukee Brewers sighting, Luis Rengifo, an infielder. Eric, some thoughts about that signing?
I mean, it's one of those the Brewers are trying to catch lightning in a bottle with this signing. Like, he had a 2-year stretch where he was not an all-star quality, but like a good player, a guy that, you can plug and play in the lineup. But, compared to Caleb Durbin, though, he's a downgrade defensively. I think the Brewers believe there's something in this game that they can unlock. So hopefully they can get him back to 2022 and 2024 form. I think they believe that the wrist injuries that he suffered in 2024 factored into his down season last year. So I think the Brewers believe it's behind him, and that he can go back into back to being a productive player, if not better, this coming season.
Candy.
Yeah, adding him on a base salary of $3.5 million. The deal also includes up to $1.5 million performance incentives and a $10 million mutual option for 2027. He becomes an immediate start to third base. Obviously, we just left we with the Caleb Durbin being traded. Obviously, we had a hole there that we're trying to figure out who's going to be the best person for that spot. We'll see if he makes it, if Lewis makes it there, but kind of a low risk, hopefully high reward type of signing for the Brewers.
Yeah. Jacob.
Yeah, we see a lot of guys that have down years in the MLB. That's the kind of league it is. So again, Brewers, they tend to do things that end up working out well, and I think this is a good shot. You take this as a switch hitter. We know that this team has the archetype when it comes to what they look for in these players, even people that have been away for a little bit, maybe have had a down year. So I think that stuff like this it's a fair shot, and versus what they have, I think it's a good acquisition.
Tony.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him to 2024 form or even close to that, where he batted 300, that's a big win, you know, especially for $3 million would be a lot for me, but small in the baseball world, you know, you'll take that. But just looking at Baseball Reference, I mean, they have him projected to be solid at least, right? 258 batting average. You'll roll with that, 12 home runs, you know, just need solid players. The Brewers are an organization that if they can grow a superstar, that is fine. But they're just solid baseball players that go out there and play hard and they do the right thing. And this fits under the Brew Crew. This is one of their moves. This is a good move for them. So another way to keep them competitive.
Okay, anybody want to go ahead and answer the question? What does autistic mean? I know we have to comment in the chat room, so I want to make sure everybody in the chat room is definitely we acknowledge them as much as possible. I want to know what I think it is, but maybe there's one of you people have a better answer than I do.
I mean, I can just give you a quick Google search.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll take whatever. Well, I mean, the Liam Gurner's president question.
Is a condition related to brain development that impacts how a person perceives and socializes with others, causing problems in social interaction and communication. The disorder also includes limited and repetitive patterns of behavior. There we go.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right. Let's continue on. Lots of baseball to continue on here. And Roman Anthony joins Team USA for the World Baseball Classic as a replacement for the injured Corbin Carroll. Eric, I'm turning to you first. I'm going to be turning to you on every question, so get ready for it.
It's a good, good, Roman Anthony's like one of the premier young players in the game right now. The Red Sox gave him that 8-year extension last year. He showed some promise, a lot of promise before he got hurt late last year. And exposing him on the national stage is huge. I think it'll do wonders for his career, and that he'll be able to produce. But yeah, I mean, Roman Anthony, gosh, he's going to be a stud.
Candy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Eric said. I'm not as. Can you come back to me? I'm sorry, I was looking at the chat room.
That's okay. Yeah, I'll come back to you. All right, go ahead, Jacob. I think Liam Turner, I'm glad that you love baseball. That's a good thing. That's what this show is all about. We don't mind answering other questions as well, but the focus certainly on baseball. We'll do what we can to address certain questions. I'm sorry to interrupt. Just want to address it myself. All right, Jacob, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, it's a Roman Anthony top prospect, obviously, last year. Comes up into a culture of Team USA. I think it's a great opportunity for him to develop as a very, very young player. Someone obviously that just broke into the league and had ups and downs from the beginning, but this looks like it's going to be a great player. So I think this is obviously Corbin Carroll is already solidified as a major league player and a fabulous one. And Roman Anthony's not that yet, but I think this is a great opportunity to be surrounded with obviously a star-studded lineup. And I think that guys like this tend to play up to that rather than down to that. So it'd be fun to watch.
Tony.
As a Yankees fan, I feel like the Red Sox never lost when Roman Anthony played for some reason. Yeah. This is great for him. like you said, Jacob, these situations I kind of compare it to young basketball players making the Olympic team. Like you always see a leap in skill development and their skill set playing in these kind of tournaments and these kind of games. So this is great. And if you think about the brand of the MLB and baseball, having somebody young like Roman Anthony in this kind of situation that could be on the global stage, that helps for the brand of baseball too, and helping grow and the faces of the young players that are coming up after the Aaron Judges, after the Machados and the Tatis. He's going to be that next crop of superstar coming up. So now that we can already start getting face and name recognition with him, it helps him as a baseball player and it helps the MLB, I feel, as a global brand.
Great stuff. Okay. Continue on. Okay. Players 37 or older.
Scott, I just want to add a couple little things. Roman Anthony actually was born in West Palm Beach in our backyard. He actually played high school baseball at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So he was named Broward County 7A Player of the Year by the Sun Sentinel back in the day. So just to add a little bit more to Roman Anthony.
Leave it to you to come up with some of the best stats on the planet. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. And amazingly enough, she mentions that because a few years back, unfortunately, we all know about the tragedy that took place there at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. And I don't think there's a time when we don't ever forget about what that unfortunate day on February 14th took a lot of young people and coaches that we should know. Rest in peace for those people. I'm glad you made such a reference to that. Thanks, Candy. Okay. All right. Great stuff. All right. Let's talk about the World Baseball Classic. And if you're 37 years of age, it's not a good thing because players 37 or older get denied coverage for WBC. Miguel Rojas won't represent Team Venezuela. And this is his final MLB season, obviously. And here's a guy that did well with the Miami Marlins, and he's done a great job back up in LA. So thoughts about Miggy and the 37-year-old insurance situation, Eric?
I mean, Puerto Rico ran into this problem too with several of their players that insurance was unwilling to cover them. I think nowadays, I think there's some worry that I think it's just a matter of like them being a little more selective on what they're willing to cover instead of doing like essentially what amounts to just like an early season, postseason exhibition. I think that they're reluctant to do it because they're concerned that they don't want the teams all over them about something happening to their player out there. So, but yeah, I mean, it's obviously really unfortunate though, because they're looking for, we're looking for the prime players to be in the World Baseball Classic.
Okay. Katie.
Insurance for World Baseball Classic players is a critical, complex process managed by national financial partners to protect MLB teams if a player gets injured during the tournament. Policies purchased by the World Baseball Classic cover players' salaries if they miss time in the MLB season. For 2026, stricter rules on injury history, example, 60-plus days on the IL, recent surgeries, and age, 37-plus, for certain positions have rendered some stars uninsurable, causing them to miss the tournament.
Okay. There you go. All right, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I know there's a lot of backlash because especially if you were to be a Dodgers fan, it would be something that you would like to see your player participate in, obviously. And I wonder if it was a bigger name, if that would be the same case. Like if this was a star at the end of his career, someone like a Paul Goldschmidt or someone of the sorts, if this would be the same case, probably. But yeah, I think that's unfortunate for him. I get both sides, so unfortunate.
Tony.
You know how some things just get attached to a name, like rules, or like Tommy John. It was Tommy John who, had the surgery, so you call it that.
Yeah.
We should call this the Edwin Diaz effect. Yeah. And like once Edwin Diaz, I feel like this wasn't a thing in 2023. I feel like everybody showed up and played. Like maybe because I wasn't so focused on the WBC, I just missed it. but it was no talk about all this insurance stuff. We talked about it last week, Eric.
Right.
Puerto Rico might not even field a team
because their guys their stars can't get insured. So Puerto Rico has no chance if they go in.
So like I feel like they should make this the Edwin Diaz rule, because once Edwin Diaz tore his ACL and missed the whole season for the Mets, I'm sure every team in the MLB was like, oh yeah, we can't have this happen unless we get insured and we get some money for this guy getting hurt. So it's unfortunate because ultimately, man, I just want to see all the best players play.
Tony,
but what's up?
Well, Tony, I think it's part of it is Edwin Diaz, but the teams always the insurance policies were always in place for the players whenever they go out there. You think the only people preventing the players from playing in the WBC with the teams, but when Edwin Diaz ripped up his ACL, the insurance companies were like, we don't really want to deal with something of that magnitude again. So if a player has some sort of injury history or something lingering in those legs of theirs, the insurance company's starting to think twice, because the last thing they want is the teams getting all over them about them going out there and playing.
Yeah, man. But I think it's unfortunate because, like I say, at the end of the day, I just want all the best players to play. And baseball is normally a low injury sport, right? Like
no, that's not true.
Not compared to others. If you
compared to others, Eric, wait, all due respect. Hold on, Tom. Sorry, Eric.
No, you're good.
Compared to others, he's right. Because here's the thing, Eric. Okay, let me say this, Tony, because you're really on to something. Now you got me going here. Okay, you're gonna sit here and tell me that Kirk Gibson, didn't have a larger career in baseball than he would with football? Give me a break. I mean, Kirk Gibson's the ultimate example of how you could go ahead. I mean, here we had a segment, get this, Jacob, about Antoine Randall L. I think earlier in the week we talked about this guy who wishes he never played football in the first place, Eric. Really? Seriously? Really?
I know what Antoine Randall L. said. I remember when the Sports Illustrated magazine came out.
Let me finish. Okay, you started this. Now I'm going to intervene. Sorry, Jacob. This isn't the same guy you saw at Mobile. This is the other side, where I'm not freezing at 40 or 50 miles an hour. I have a fan and I'm inside, But Kirk Gibson, amongst a lot of other guys that took the baseball train, stayed a lot longer and made a lot more money. So, all right, Tony, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I am so sorry. I'm a bad man.
No, you just added to the point. Ultimately, I just wish the guys could play. I get that as a money aspect. I know it's tens of hundreds of millions of dollars involved in this. Come on. They should be able to sign a waiver almost, right? At your own risk if you play. Right. Or however you can make this happen. But we're here now. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Edwin Diaz, $17.25 million is what insurance had to cover. That's a lot of money to cover.
Yeah.
Ooh. In the words of Marshawn Lynch, that's a lot of chicken.
And it's the equivalent. It's the equivalent of why I think a better example and a little more relatable example. It's the equivalent of why some insurance companies won't cover in Florida.
Mm-hmm. I love this topic. I didn't think it would get to the point where it did, but boy, I'm not complaining about it. I'm Miguel Rojas, and let me tell you something, people. This guy will manage in the big leagues one day. I know it. I believe it. I know it because I once asked him that question when he was down here with the Marlins. Would you ever want to manage in the big leagues? And he said, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it. And I'll tell you, he'll control the clubhouse well. And nothing wrong with having some good Latino voice in there. And I think Miggy would be ideal for it. We got lots to get to, but all of a sudden, Tony the Tiger really got the bull on the Motor City Madmouth lit up with that analogy. That's all right, Tony. That's what we expected to do. That's part of the Tony thing. All right. Let's continue on. The Toronto Blue Jays re-signed the designated hitter, first baseman, outfielder Eloy Jimenez to a minor league contract. Spent all of 2025 in the minor leagues playing for affiliates, the Rays and the Blue Jays. Jimenez, 29, didn't really woo anyone with his numbers, as he had 2 home runs, 29 RBIs in 54 games. Currently playing for the Toros del Este in the Dominican Winter League. All right, Eric, let's talk about Eloy Jimenez.
I mean, it was a, I've never heard of the guy personally.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't really know much about him.
Well, bottom line is he's got an opportunity on a minor league deal, and that's when a lot of these things usually find out. If you're worth anything, you get a minor league deal, then you'll stick. And if you don't, it's okay, Eric. 99 out of 100 things. And if Eloy Jimenez slipped you up, then you're not having a bad day. You're doing fantastic. Don't worry about it. All right, Mrs. Research, you have anything early? Do I got to come back to you on this?
Oh, the White Sox guy, yeah.
All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this guy was good very early on from age 22 and 23. We saw him come up through the White Sox system very quickly. And I mean, post almost a 300 batting average both in 2020 and 2022. Obviously, 2020 being a season that was shorter. But unfortunately for him, the problem was that all of the seasons were shorter by injury. And this was part of that White Sox rebuild. He was that piece there on the third base end of this White Sox failed rebuild that was supposed to be and never was. So that's who this guy was. Again, a bat that at one point was good, never really showed us too much when it comes to on base, but we got some pretty major slugging out of this guy. He had above a league average OPS plus for 4 of his 5 years there in Chicago. So this is a guy that has pop at that third base position. And I think that, again, taking a flyer on him, these guys, if you've proven stuff, like I don't know if there's been a physical hindrance in your game, but if you've proven stuff for a good bit of years and then fall off, it's worth taking a flyer on these guys sometimes, hoping they return to form.
Yeah,
great stuff,
evidently
great stuff, Jacob.
There.
Yeah, great stuff, Jacob. Excellent. Proud of you, pal. Okay, Eric, anything you want to add now that Jacob kind of gave you a little more to go on?
Yeah, now that it just hit me now. Yeah, he played. I hadn't heard his name in a while. That's part of it. I know he played for the White Sox. The Sox were high on him. He was supposed to be one of the centerpieces of that rebuild. Unfortunately for him in Chicago, he just could never stay healthy. He just always got hurt, and that was part of the reason. That was a big reason why the White Sox rebuild at the time failed, because their guys got hurt, But I think there's clearly something there where if he can just stay healthy, he can perhaps maybe get some of that potential out of him. But we'll see how it goes, though, because he's kind of at this point he's kind of bounced around from Chicago to Tampa to Baltimore, and his talent hasn't been able to happen at both those places. So we'll see how he does this year. But all I know is it's starting to get a little late out there.
It's getting late early.
All right, Tony. Go ahead, Tony. Late early. It's your turn.
Yeah. Just kind of echoing on him. I mean, finished 4th his rookie year and rookie of the year, 31 home runs. But unfortunately, the most games he ever played was his rookie year, 122. But when you show that you can hit 31 home runs in the big league, the other season where he played 120 games, he batted 272. So you show that you can put bat to ball. Yeah, you bring that guy in for a minor league deal, because if he can stay healthy and he can give you something, and that Blue Jays lineup, he's going to see a lot of good pitches. So he could be somebody who you look at the back half of the season and he's contributing big time for the Blue Jays if he can stay healthy.
Great stuff, Tony. Go ahead, Candy. I think you have more to work with now.
He's trying to come back in the day. He ruptured his left pectoral tendon. He's suffered hamstring strains. He underwent an appendectomy 1 year. So he's had numerous different things. So for them to sign him on a minor league deal is a low risk. So kudos to him. Hopefully, like everybody said, hopefully he can stay healthy and, contribute. I mean, the last couple of years he's been in the minor leagues. Maybe he can work his way back up to the major leagues.
All I said, everything to gain, nothing to lose. Okay, here's a guy people have heard of, without a doubt. Ranger Suarez, Phillies signed with the Boston Red Sox, Eric.
The Red Sox did this because they couldn't get Alex Bregman back, and the front office was fuming right after, because apparently it was over the no trade clause that Scott Boras seemingly loves to ask teams for, and teams seem to be handing it out like candy on Halloween. But they did this because they needed that other starter, because honestly they weren't going to survive with what they had. If anything, it was pretty much last season Garrett Crochet and everyone else. Garrett Crochet's arm is made of glass. So who knows how long that arm is going to hold up, because he's had Tommy John surgery before. And in the next few years, I could see that becoming a reality again, because once you have Tommy John, a lot of the time though, you're probably due for it again, given how they seemingly like to neglect mechanics and say, here, throw it 100 miles an hour over and over and over again. But the Red Sox did this. It was a pivot. He's a good mid rotation guy, but what kind of but it's very much going to depend though, of whether Ranger Suarez last season was one of those flash in the pan sort of players, or was he the real thing? But the Red Sox did this because they couldn't get Alex Bregman back, and now their offense has all sorts of question marks on it. Not that I'm complaining, because I wish everything bad to happen to the Red Sox.
No kidding. Oh, don't worry, Jacob. He's a Yankees guy. Now you understand the sentiment. With that said, I'll turn it over to Candy last. Go ahead, Jacob. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that Phillies rotation be good top to bottom, and Suarez was a great part of that. A lot of times that can help pitchers, and I think the Red Sox also, like you said, with Crochet and then bringing in Sonny Gray this offseason, are going to have a great rotation. But Suarez, we've seen him even in 2024 be an all-star. This is a really great, like you said, closer to the front of a rotation guy than back. So yeah, I think this is a great pickup for the Red Sox. I really liked their offseason this year. I think it was obviously they would adjust to the Bregman leaving, excuse me, but I think this is a great pivot. I think this is probably the best pivot they probably could have done. And yeah, I think that this is a guy that will give you 150 innings a year, has done it for the past couple of years. And prior to that, we've seen that most of his career, that he will give you full seasons healthy and at a low 3 ERA. I don't know what more you can ask for from a guy that's not your ace.
Okay. Tony?
I hope nothing goes well for Ranger Suarez. I hope he's healthy. But if he can go 2-20, that'll make my day as a Yankees fan. But a decent pivot. You can never have too much pitching. This is a solid to very good pitcher. Like you say, not necessarily an ace. 12-8 the last 2 years, low to mid 3 ERA. So he's going to give you innings. He's going to be solid. But it's still Crochet and everybody else. Eric, what you talking about? Sonny Gray can't handle the AL East.
Yeah.
So
we saw that movie.
We've seen this movie.
That turned out.
Yeah. So, but look, the Red Sox fans were on them, right? Like they were one of the last teams to sign anybody in the offseason. You let go, like you say, you let go Alex Bregman. You got to do something, right? It's almost like the meme with the stick poking. Hey guys, do something. And this was something to do. And it's not a bad move. Sneaky good. He can sneaky steal 15 wins out of him. I hope not, though.
Sneaky good.
If you look at his career though, once he has some really, really great, he kind of goes back to really, really mediocre.
Yeah.
Sneaky good. I'll have to now when I think of Ranger Suarez, I'm gonna start thinking
Fenway. Fenway, it's not easy to pitch there, especially with the Green Monster, where hitters can just bang them off the wall.
That's true. That's true. Candy.
Yeah, he's 53-37 with an earned run average of 3.38, 705 strikeouts over his course of his career. His first season, I don't know if any of you knew this, was in the Venezuela Summer League, and it was cut short by a drug suspension. But he returned to pitch for 2 more seasons down there in the Venezuela before in 2018, after giving up only 1 walk for the duration of the season, he began to attract the attention of the Phillies organization and then moved to the rookie league. And his stock has continued to rise. Obviously, anybody that's going to give any pitcher a 5-year, $130 million contract, he's not doing too bad for himself.
Okay, more WBC stuff to talk about. Griffin Jacks, Gabe Spire joined Team USA. WBC. Eric, some thoughts about these additions.
Griffin Jacks is a pretty good reliever for the Twins. Obviously, he didn't have as great of a second half with the Tampa Bay Rays, but he's a solid guy out of the pen, a really good setup guy. That he's been productive with the Twins. And Gabe Spire again, he's coming from Seattle, and Seattle has an arm barn for days. So you getting those 2 guys. That's a solid bullpen right there. I mean, Spire's a really good Spire again, and he's another one of those he's a high leverage reliever, and he's a guy that you want there. I mean, he's been with the Mariners and a part of that pitching staff that has been arguably one of the best in baseball.
Okay, Jacob.
Yeah, Griffin Jacks. We've seen both the organizations with the Twins and the like you were saying, the Mariners with Spire there. We've seen those teams develop these pitchers, and obviously last year being a 1-7 down in that trade to the Rays. So I obviously, like relievers, we're talking about names we're not going to hear as much, but we do know him to have been at one point a very, very good player and a low 2 ERA guy in 2024. So you hope to return to form again. Baseball, very variant sport. But yeah, I mean, Mariners, when it comes to Spire, Mariners, that development system there, we know that to be super, super solid. And anyone that tends to go in there, ups velo, I mean, gets Tommy John usually, but ups velo and bounces back after that Tommy John. So it'll be good to see these guys crack into becoming more common names.
Tony.
Yeah, look, I've said this before and I'll say it again. You'll never have too much pitching. And in this situation, WBC, they're going to see him, leading up to it. They're going to know what matchups fit for him. And when you have the bullpen, you need as many arms for different matchups as possible. And you're hoping, look, he can be more of that 2 ERA guy, right? And I think he could be, depending on where they put him. And I'm sure they're going to put him in the best positions to succeed. So I expect that out of him. Let's go USA.
Yeah.
Okay. Candy.
How fitting is that he is a pitcher, but he's also a U.S. Air Force Reserve captain, and he was named to the Team USA. Kind of just makes sense, right? They go hand in hand. He's expected to serve as a key reliever for Team USA. Obviously, we've all said pitching matters. There are times pitchers are on and sometimes they're not. So sometimes when we think they might be a long reliever, they got to get a short hook because they're just not on today. So kudos to Team USA for getting as many pitchers as they need. Hopefully they're the right pitchers for Team USA.
I'll tell you, the pitching position, especially in the WBC, is one that you have to feed a lot. And the reason why I say that is because you're talking about pitchers that are on loan from other teams as you get into the regular season, and you don't want to overuse these guys because that manager is putting that pitcher in your hands of the manager, and you don't want any injuries that will linger on all year. Otherwise, this becomes an issue. And I've had other panelists talk about, wish there was a better time to play this tournament than before spring training when everybody's kind of getting going a little. And that will always be a debate that will be. So you have to stack the deck when it comes to pitchers. You really, really do. And you have to be really, really careful.
Scott, can I just add one last thing? He is the first Air Force Academy graduate to reach the MLB and now to represent the U.S. in this competition. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Great stuff. Well, sure, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do it. And great stuff. Always love it when you add some nuggets at the end, Candy. All right, well, I like talking about women announcers in sports. I'm going to bring up one now. Alexa Datt will be leaving St. Louis and joining the Washington Nationals broadcast team as their sideline reporter. The Cardinals had recently announced that Datt was to take on an expanded role on the broadcast for 2026. And keep in mind, what's interesting about this is once upon a time, Bob Carpenter was a broadcaster for the Cardinals and went over to the bigger market Nationals. But now let's keep the focus on Alexa. I've seen her on the air, a very attractive blonde announcer, but she's good. She really is. And now Washington may have found themselves lightning in a bottle with this young lady. What do you know about Alexa? I know a lot of people that have the MLB package have probably seen her from time to time. I actually got my first glance at her last year when I think she was doing a Tigers game. And I think the young lady is multi-talented. And before I turn it over, there's a woman that I met last year named Audra Martin of the Minnesota Twins, who's fantastic as well. So, Alexa, we're hoping to apply to a Nationals game. I don't know if we'll meet the girl or not, but what I've seen of her happens to be pretty good.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends in the St. Louis area who would obviously have seen her a lot more often than I have. But the fact I think this started too because when Jenny Kavanaugh went from the Rockies to the Athletics, that kind of opened the door for everyone else to kind of do the same because Kavanaugh was the first woman play-by-play announcer. She did it first with the Rockies for a little while, and then she went over to the Athletics where she's doing it full time. I think we're going to see more of that in the future instead of being the sideline reporter like we're accustomed to that we typically see on the TV. They're starting to have a little more of a prominent voice actually in the broadcast booth.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one person I would love to see get a big opportunity is a young lady in Miami named Kelly Sacco, who was a great softball player. And if anybody knows Kelly, she's a very, very good friend of mine. Kelly's great. We're really good friends. Looking forward to seeing Kelly. But she played softball. She's been with the Marlins for a while. Jacob, some thoughts about Alexa?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know too much.
Okay.
But from what Eric said and the people he knows, it sounds like that was a great person that's on the move now, and an organization will be benefiting from that. So I don't have too much to add to that.
That's okay. We'll take it. Tony, what do you know?
Women are taking over sports, guys. This is not our space anymore. All right. It's not what was the little rascal? We hate women's club or whatever. Men hate women's club. It's not that anymore. They have infiltrated our walls, our gates. Okay. Now this is just going to be the norm. Like honestly, Scott, this not even going to be an announcement on the show in the next couple of months or year or so, because that is just, you look on my TikTok, women are taking over. They have their own Women in Sports Day. It started with think about Jessica Mendoza when she was doing the Sunday night games for ESPN. Right. If you think about in basketball, Candace Parker does the NBA games. Like this is just becoming what it is in sports. So hey man, if you know ball, great, and that's good that it's showing that, right? If you're a man, a woman, no matter what you like, if you know ball and you can break down the game, you can be in the booth and you can give us perspective. And one thing I know about women, they see things at a whole different angle than us, and they're way more detailed than us. So we're probably going to get some better perspective, if I'm being honest.
Let me tell you, I have to say, I'm probably glad I'm on the back end of my career doing this, and that retirement is probably looming closer than ever. And I say that because my goal is to make 50 years, and I only have about a few to go. And I see the way the different opportunities are changing. Let's face it, one of the most recent media situations that took place was the Washington Post, I think, eliminated some jobs is what they've done. So now every place is scaling the fat. But when you can come across good young women talent, and there are a lot of them out there, not every one of them out there looks good. Some of these actually know what they're doing. And by the way, I don't mind having a good one week in and week out with Candy on the show because she knows more about most sports than most women do anyways. Am I being biased? No, I'm not. I'll be honest with you. Candy wouldn't have progressed in this industry if she didn't know what she was doing. Call me what you want. I don't play favorites. I've been called a drill sergeant before and apologized for nothing. I don't care. And a lot of women are very, very bright at what they're doing. So a lot of men, I think, at times can be a little bit more insecure about their job because, let's face the reality, softball, baseball, still the same concept. Hit your way on and score at the plate. It's just played with a different field. One has a grass and one has dirt. And essentially, a lot of the stuff is the same. So, Tony, I love when you come up with these things that you just get me going. Can't stand. Let's see. Kurt Hagel, can't picture you retired, Scott. Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate the comment. Sometimes, Kurt, I want to believe you, but some of the things I deal with a lot of people and a lot of things I deal with in the show, I'm not singling nobody out. It's just I understand how it is. I'm just glad that I've been able to experience the good, and I'm going to go out on my own terms for however long this ride may last. All right, Candy, I said a mouthful, then again, I always do. Go ahead, help me, bail me out like you do 9 million times over. But Alexa's good, and I hope to meet her next in the not so distant future. If not here during the spring training, it'll be during the regular season.
Thanks for the compliment, first and foremost. But yes, she is a Maryland native, a graduate of the University of Maryland. In early 2025, she became the first female broadcaster to handle play-by-play for the St. Louis Cardinals local broadcast. She has held roles at MLB Network, hosting the Rundown and the 1225 Live, SNY, Bleacher Report. Yes, now her current role will be with the Nationals. Kudos to the industry has changed, and it's not just a men's media now. It is best person for the job. And let's face it, in media now, it's all about money and how many people you get to watch. So it's not only knowledge, but let's face it, some of the, how should I put it? Some of the audience is probably more male than female. And who do males like to look at? They like to look at women more. So why not put knowledgeable, good-looking females in there as well?
Great stuff, Candy. All right,
Thanks.
Eric, did I call on you on this one already?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about Don Mattingly. Why? Not only is he one of my favorite people, he joins the Phillies as the bench coach. My goodness, looking forward to seeing Don, whether it's in Clearwater, whether it's in Miami. I'm going to see my man Donnie. Baseball. All right, he's with the Phillies. He's going to make him better. The only thing I hope is he gets a ring, Eric.
Well, it sounds like Don Mattingly can't escape you, Scott. I
hope you're right about that. I can't escape him.
Yeah, but
go ahead, continue your thoughts.
I know he left the Blue Jays after they went to the World Series, and basically he was there kind of as like a mentor figure for John Schneider, and then once that kind of ended, he left the organization and is now. And there was some big talk about him going to Philadelphia because his son Preston is the general manager of the club. Obviously, He's not the guy making the moves, but he's the right hand man of Dave Dombrowski. But I'm happy that he's still in baseball. I think at this point he's content with just coaching. I don't think he wants to deal with I'm sure he'd think about managing again, but I think he's just happy being out there doing the teaching, not being the principal.
See, I think he will manage if he gets the right situation, but it's going to take one real good situation to get Don back in the dugout leading his own team. And that's what he told me when I interviewed him last August. Now, again, it's going to take the right situation permanent. He's not going to get involved with another rebuild at all. Right. And he's been around enough of those for an organization where the ownership is malcontent. It's that right situation. I think Philadelphia is a good situation, and they got a lot of good hitters on there, and they have some good pitchers. So I think the fit's really good for Don in Philly. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Eric.
I think Don Mattingly's I think right now he's just happy coaching and actually doing the teaching right now. I think that's where he's most happy at the moment. Obviously, a managing situation. They're going to have to be spending some serious money for Don Mattingly to think about taking on a job like that, because he's not wanting to do he's not wanting to do Miami jobs anymore, or even before the new ownership, or even the Dodgers, for that matter. Before the new ownership group came in, he was dealing with one broke Frank McCourt. But I think right now he seems to be pretty content with just doing the teaching. I think he truly missed that when he was manager. I think he likes being the teacher rather than the principal.
Well, you know what? Number one, you're 100% right. Bench coach suits him fine. He knows a ton about baseball anyways, and he's great with players. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I told to Tommy Hutton, one of the broadcasters of the Marlins. You can't play for Don Mattingly. You can't play for anybody. If you don't believe me, go to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel and go ahead and look up that. In fact, I think Candy might even have that on the website. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, Tommy Hutton said, if you can't play for Don Mattingly, you can't play for any. He didn't even know that when I told him. Yeah, I did. But Donnie and I are friends. We're like brothers, what we are. So, but no, Eric, everything you said is 100% right. It's got to be the right situation for him to do it. All right, Candy, go ahead. You're not going last on this one because you know about it Mattingly all too well.
Mattingly's done. He's a baseball lifer. Let's face it. He's played, he's coached, he's managed. I think he truly, in order to get back to them, actually manage a team, it's got to be the right fit. Everything's got to be right for him, because he doesn't have to do that. He's done so many other things in his career. And how cool is it to work with his son as a GM? He is a family man. He's a Midwestern. He's from he was born in Indiana. And I think he truly enjoys working with the guys, and not having to necessarily manage them, but be able to really truly work one-on-one with them each and have time like that instead of the stress of and all the politics and dealing with all the media and all that goes with being a head manager. Yes, I think with the right situation, he would take it, but it has to be the right situation, and he can be very picky at this point.
Oh, no question about it, Candy. And he's told that to us before, that he can be selective is probably the word he do, but picky. Either you can't go wrong with either adjective. It doesn't matter. He's afforded himself. Okay, Jacob, I'm sorry making you wait a little longer, but this one has a little more. This is a fillet of topics of what we have. We have a few more. One's going to bite. And I can't wait till one later on talking about Scott Boras or Eric Katz is going to go last because they'll probably need to be last on this next one. But all right, go ahead. Let's talk about Donnie Baseball. Jacob.
Yeah, I'm just going to agree with Candy here on his experience doing it and his lack of probably want at this point to, and what Eric said, his lack of want to be a manager. I think it would take an ideal fit. And guys like this, it's more about the legacy they're leaving within the MLB realm of players and coaches. Like they are not concerned with money or at this point even accolades, but rather leaving an impact on organizations and mentoring people, that there would be people that come up after them saying that they learned from Don Mattingly, even as a bench coach for the Phillies. So I think that's what he's primarily concerned with at this point because of his resume and what he's done in his career. But if there was a 1% chance of him becoming a manager again, it would take an absolutely ideal fit.
Great stuff, Jacob. How do you like this guy this is his first act? All right, we're gonna interrupt the show for a minute. All right, Eric and Tony, your thoughts on this Jacob guy? He's not too bad. He can fit in with the group. What do you think?
Jacob knows ball, and that's all I care about.
He knows what he's talking
Jacob
about.
was giving me a good reason why he wanted to be on baseball. I'll tell you what, we still have some more topics, but we don't mind breaking the show up a little bit, give JL a little bit of, RESPECT, something that Rodney Dangerfield didn't get a whole hell of a lot of. Great stuff there. All right, what are your thoughts about this guy, Eric? I don't know. He's too low-key for you to be confrontational. This guy just simply knows ball. We have to find more confrontational people, but Littner isn't one of them.
Well, you don't need to be confrontational to know what you're talking about. Me, that's just my style, just because I like to shake up the room a little bit. But no, he's just knowledge. All right, no need to be confrontational. He's got knowledge, and if that's his style, that is okay by me. He'll get there.
You won the group over, Littner. Can't wait to get your butt back here in April doing this regularly on Saturdays. All right, Tony, you get to talk about Donnie Baseball.
Donnie Baseball, one of my dad's favorite Yankees. Scott, you know what I'm about to say.
Go ahead, say it.
He might be cursed, guys. He might be cursed. I just got to say it. I mean, if you think about how he just missed World Series, he's always right there for World Series.
Don't do this to me again. Don't do it to me again.
If I'm the Phillies and I feel like I'm really here to compete, he might have to come next year. All right. I don't need you sprinkling none of the bad juju on us, Don Mattingly, because he just always misses the mark. But when it comes to baseball, though, I mean, I said this before. He's I know he has forgotten more baseball than I've consumed in my life. So he's going to be a good coach. He's going to help those guys out. Probably calm Bryce Harper down a little bit. He seems like he's a little fiery right now in Philly. I think he'll be great for the Phillies. Like, he's helped everywhere he's been, right? Like, he's won pretty much everywhere he's been. So good for the Phillies. I do think this keeps him out of the World Series this year, though. I'm just being honest.
He did it to me again.
Well, here's the thing.
But I knew it was coming this time, though. Go ahead, Eric.
Here's with Bryce Harper, though. I mean, as far as fiery goes, I mean, that's just how he's been his entire career. If you haven't been watching Bryce Harper and the things that he's done on the field, particularly to umpires and other players, then you weren't paying attention. Now, I think Don Mattingly can relate to Bryce Harper a little bit because right now it's Bryce Harper versus Dave Dombrowski. Because remember, people seemingly forget though that he traded barbs with one George Steinbrenner for a while there, partially due because he wouldn't get a haircut that was eventually put on The Simpsons, and now everybody wants him to sign Simpsons memorabilia because of it. But I think he can do a lot for Bryce with his game, but also handling the politics of the organization, because remember, Mattingly and George Steinbrenner had a little fiasco of their own. And it lasted for like it was over an extended period of time. It wasn't just what it started now, which was at the end of the offseason and continuing into spring training.
I love this topic. It was fun. But at least I got prepped with Tony the other day, so I can take it a little bit easier. All right, well, you know what, though? We're going to stay in the Big Apple. Because the Mets acquired Marcus Semien as they hope to get back to the postseason. All right, Eric, your thoughts about Marcus Semien going to staying in the Big Apple?
He's a declining player at this point. It was a salary dump move. I think the Rangers got the better of the deal. Yeah, they're taking on more money, but Brandon Nimmo is still a productive player. I mean, he was a 92 RBI guy last year. That's a good year. Marcus Semien is offensively anyway is falling down the hill. He's nearing retirement. I don't know if there could have been other salary dump moves the Mets could have made, and this is not one of them. But the Mets, they don't exactly have the biggest brains in the room. I mean, yes, they have David Stearns though, but heck, every single GM I have ever seen go through there falls under the curse that the Mets are the Mets, and that's exactly what they are, and that's all they will be.
Okay, Candy.
The Mets seem to spend a lot of money, but they don't have the success for it necessarily on the field.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if we see and how much we see of Marcus Semien, because yes, I mean, he was born in 1990, so he's only 35 years old, but he's only had in his career 1,613 hits, 253 home runs, 801 runs batted in, and 139 stolen bases. He's played for, this will now be his fifth team. He was played for the White Sox, the Athletics, the Blue Jays, the Rangers. So it'll be interesting to see how much he gets playing time with the Mets.
Okay. Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, Semien has been banged up a ton, and I do like this better for the Rangers and the Brandon Nimmo return. I think that we could see a Brandon Nimmo, Wyatt Langford, and Evan Carter future in that outfield, and I think that's a pretty exciting future. We've seen Nimmo with his on-base percent be a really good player, and that's a guy you want to add to two really young players that still have a ton to improve. But I think that is going to be a better alternative for them than keeping on to Marcus Semien, who, like Eric was saying, is a declining player and is someone that is not going to be a consistent bat for you at this point and is not going to play enough games to help contribute to your team. So I like this move. It is somewhat of a dump and a pivot, but I think it's a good pivot.
Beautiful. Okay, Tony.
Hey, man, say it with me, Eric. The Mets are going to Met it. And the funny thing about this is if Marcus Semien was having issues in the clubhouse with Trey Turner, Lord, wait till you get into the mess of the clubhouse of New York and Queens and the Mets. But it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, maybe, the Mets, they're maybe convincing themselves he'll get back to 2023 form where he was third in MVP voting, but nothing shows that that's going to happen. Everything has been just declining. So the return on investment is probably not going to be as high. Like you said, Jacob, I think the Rangers got the best out of this with Nimmo, and they actually are planning for their future, where the Mets just keep trying to put lipstick on the pig and telling us that it is a donkey. I don't know what they're doing. But
that's a pig.
I'm never mad
at the pig.
Yeah, I'm never mad when the Mets make bad money moves. It takes a little bit of the heat off the Yankees.
They are the worst team money. They are the worst team money can buy, after all.
That is a fact.
I'll tell you one thing I can see right now on Saturdays, man. Tony, you wonder I told you I wanted you on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Now with Eric Katz, Oh, do I see a little bit of a rivalry brewing between you, man?
Yeah, man.
The one thing I got to give Tony a lot of credit, and everybody in the system is fantastic. Everybody. I don't have a complaint about Nutty. But every time I pump something in Tony's ears, what is he up to now? Jacob, you got to hear this. This was classic what this guy said earlier in the week. This is Tony in a nutshell. When you go on that Wednesday night sports exchange, and I don't feed nobody topics on that night, Eric has the greatest line in the world for it. Okay, I'm trying to imitate you, Tony. I may not be good at it. I never took on being, what do you call those, impersonators or however, what do you call it when you're trying to imitate somebody?
Impersonator.
Oh, is that what they call it? Well, I don't know whether I should be. I'm going to be watching CNN and I'm going to be watching ESPN and see what the dog is going to be coming up with. So I'll be ready to go either way because we ain't talking game and we may not be talking game. How was that, Tony?
Yeah, it was all right.
All right, I'll take that. All right, that's good enough. I don't care. All right, good enough. All right, good stuff. All right, let me go. How much energy do I have? Well, when we're talking about the A's spending money, I got to have some energy because they never tell it. Why? Because they extended Jacob Williamson to a 7-year deal. Eric, the A's don't spend money, but they're going to Las Vegas. Are they playing at the crap table? Are they really going to prove that they actually can contend?
Well, they're starting to right now. Well, they're spending money is because they have to. Otherwise, the MLB Players Association is going to have a field day on them. They're not doing this because they want to. They're doing this because they have to. And you could probably put the Pittsburgh Pirates in that same category of Mr. Bob Nutting, who's more of a penny pitcher than Scrooge was during Christmas time. But it's a good move though. He is a good player. I mean, I think the A's are starting to kind of approach that 3-year window where they're good for a little while there. They're getting close to opening up one of those there. It's going to really depend. They got some bats. It's going to really depend on how their pitching holds up, and if Luis Severino can somehow manage to figure out how to pitch in Sacramento, because last year he was complaining about it. Well, I got news for you, Luis Severino. You knew what you were getting into, baby. You knew what you were getting into. You had other offers where you could have been pitching at more. They were lower, but you did it for the money. And sorry, buddy, while you're serving up home runs, you're still collecting a nice check.
Jacob, what do you think about this one? The A's are spending money.
Yeah, it's exciting to me.
Sacramento.
Yeah, it's exciting to me as a Pirates fan because us small market spenders, we kind of tend to hang around, and there's the better ones, and there's the worst ones. But it's great either way to see, Jacob Wilson there. I remember watching the draft when he was picked, pick number 6 there by the Athletics, and this guy was highly touted as a contact first guy. And man, they may have even undersold that. He is on Baseball Savant. He is 100th percentile in K rate with only 7.5% and a 99% whiff rate, only 9.6%. So this guy just hits the ball. He makes contact. Whereas Luis Arias, we see a guy like that, and obviously he's bounced around now. He's on the Giants. Wilson gives you a little bit more pop. I was there in LA in May 13th, and he went for 2 home runs and 5 RBIs against the Dodgers. Athletics came into town and beat the Dodgers. Fun game to be at. But this guy's young. He's 23, still figuring it out. He plays a unique style of baseball. He actually doesn't see any kind of pitches. He just is making contact with the first thing he sees in the zone. And usually it's going to end up, even his expecting batting average is in the upper 200s. So I think this is a player that you want to lock up for a long time. He fits a very specific role on your team where you do actually have the other roles with the Brent Rookers and the other, power players that they have on that athletic. Yeah, Soderstrom. I mean, we have a bunch of dudes over there, even Lawrence Butler. So that he's not fit into a can of a bunch of guys of the same archetype, but we actually see a lot over there in, I was going to say Oakland, but just the Athletics. I think it's a great.
Don't feel too bad. Everybody does. One thing I should say about the Athletics, let's not kid ourselves, okay? Over the years, they are a very proud franchise, have won world championships. And I'm going to tell you, say what you want, but when the Athletics are better, that's where a lot of that history goes back. You talk about the Philadelphia A's going back to Kansas City A's, to Oakland, and now to Vegas. It's just good if they can finally get a home and they can start spending money, because that is a very, very, very proud franchise. I'm sorry, Tony, go ahead.
No, you're right. About them being a proud franchise. I didn't know until recently. They're like second or third in pennants all time in America.
Yeah.
So like they're a team that wins, but to follow what Eric says, is only like in like 3-year windows. So like within like the next 2 or 3 years, they're probably gonna win 100 games. Like they're gonna be good and they're gonna be competitive. And then they go through these lulls of being bad where you're like, what happened? But this is, you got to sign Jacob Wilson, right? Like you got to find the money somewhere to sign a guy like Jacob Wilson. You get this guy, you lock him up, you avoid arbitration. You probably are saving money on the front end by not letting him ride this out and then hit free agency or deal with arbitration in that kind of situation with the numbers that he's been putting up. So this is a smart move by the A's. They have to spend money, so at least they spend good money. We saw them spend money last year with Luis Severino. Like I said, you got to bring up the floor somehow, so they had to do that. So this might be a good move for them. This is a good move for them. Let's see if they put it all together as a team.
Hey, Candy.
Team is under pressure to increase their payroll to avoid grievances from the Major League Baseball Players Association, which mandates teams receiving revenue sharing spend a minimum amount. Yes, despite recent signings, the 2026 payroll remains relatively low compared to the rest of the league, sitting at 22nd overall. So they still have a ways to go. But yes, Jacob Wilson batting .301 with 13 home runs and 66 runs batted in. It's a good signing for him.
Okay, great stuff. All right, let's go back to the Brewers. Kind of missed them a little bit. They're early part of the show. Now they're going to be back. And that's this. Gary Sanchez and the Brewers are reportedly in agreement on a contract there. How do you like Gary Sanchez from a Yankee going over to Brewers?
Well, he's been a lot more than a Yankee. He's been a lot of things. And a Brewer at one point too. But he's got some pop. I mean, he performed reasonably well for the role that he had with the Brewers the last time he was there, and he's going to be a backup catcher to William Contreras, I think, or if not, he'll probably at least get in the mix to be a designated hitter. But for what he is his career, it's kind of going to be the Brewers are hoping to get some pop out of him, but I'm not expecting it to be too much because honestly, he's like he never really became what everyone said he was going to become. So, I think they're just going to have him in the DH mix. They'll have him catch every now and then, but other than that, though, it's just another bench player at this point.
Okay, that's fine. Candy?
Yeah, it's his second stint with the Brewers. We recently, on February 14th, signed him to a 1-year, $1.75 million contract. Yeah, I'd love a $1.75 million contract, but 2 years ago, he signed an $8.5 million contract. So obviously his stock value has gone down. But yes, like we said, they signed William Contreras as the catcher, so we know we need backups, low risk, someone that's been in the league since 2015, so he can. As we talk about the Brewers are a young team. They have a lot of young prospects that they're bringing up, so they do need a couple of veterans here that can talk to them about what the league is all about and kind of mentor some of them. So hopefully that's what one of the roles he can provide.
Jacob.
Yeah, again, Brewers move a guy that even in Baltimore, we saw a little run there last year where he had a ton of pop. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he was going crazy there for a minute. And second stint with the Brewers, they're familiar. A lot of times these kind of guys, it comes down to organizational connections. So we see a coach that's familiar with a player or even the organization that's familiar with a player and likes what he brings into that room, whether it be obviously pop is going to be a thing for him, but also when it comes to leadership and being a solid option there. So those are things that a lot of these teams are looking at, and he's a reliable guy. We've seen that a bit, and he's going to provide that for an organization that's already experienced a stint with him in 2024.
Okay, Tony.
Man, when I think of Gary Sanchez, I think of unrealized potential. And I also think of the guy who essentially got Joe Girardi out of New York, and it's wild that what he's turned into. Gary Sanchez was the third fastest, not catcher, MLB player to 100 home runs. Like the Kraken. You don't get a nickname like the Kraken if you didn't show that you was going to be a great player. And then to see what he's become, like you say, Candy, yeah, if somebody gave me a check for $1.75 million, I'm taking it and running. But when you were somebody who was supposed to be as good as you were, he should be in the $150 million contract conversation at this point of his career. So it's sad to see, because I thought he was going to be a Yankee great, and now he's just another guy. He's a Jag. But this is the kind of guy that goes to the Brewers and he gives you a big hit late in the season, or he goes on. Like, you get a guy like this for that hot week or two, like you said, Jacob, that he's just ripping the cover off of the ball. So that's going to be the good thing for him. It's a lot less pressure, obviously, than playing in a place like the Yankees or anywhere else that he's been. And he's the backup, so he can really go in. Hopefully he's comfortable in his role. He can just go out there and play some good baseball, because we know what Gary Sanchez can be. It's just a question of, will he be that person?
Yeah. Great stuff, man. This whole group is unbelievable. I am so excited to work with you guys during this baseball season. It just makes me, my voice is starting to go. It's getting raspy, and all I got to do is just stand in here and watch you guys talk, man. You guys are all fantastic. I'll slip an opinion in every now and then. It might get a little loud every so often, but I can look forward to this group. Candy, what do you think about this group during baseball season?
I like it. I love
it. This group is unbelievable. Or is Jimmy Walker? Is anybody old enough to know Jimmy Walker from Good Times? Anybody?
I am.
What about you, Jacob? Do you know him? You ever heard of him? Jacob?
No.
I do not. No.
No. You know what? Good Time. There you go. Go ahead, Tony. Yeah.
Oh, Dynamite.
Yeah, there you go. Dynamite. Dynamite. This guy. So you guys are dynamite. All right. Why would I bring up Good Time today? Because I'm having a good time with the show. Oh, my goodness. I haven't even had the caffeine I need yet. Don't worry. I'll have it in a little bit. All right. Let's go to it from one Sanchez to another. And I'm hoping to actually catch up with this guy when we go to Dunedin or Dunedin or whatever Candy wants to put a tag on it. Jesus Sanchez. Toronto Blue Jays have acquired him from the Astros in exchange for outfielder Joey Loperfido. Eric, what do you think about Jesus Sanchez going across the border?
I mean, he was good with the Marlins to begin the year. He was solid guy in the lineup. But then when he went to Houston and played for a contender, though, he kind of fell right off the table. So I think that we'll see. I think a full year, because I think Toronto is going to be a contender again this year. Well, depending on a lot of things, though, honestly, because I thought last year they were one of those caffeine-laced sugar high teams. But Jesus Sanchez, if he can just get back to being the contact guy that he was with the Marlins, I think it'll be a nice compliment to the Blue Jays lineup.
Katie, you saw Jesus. This guy, when he had those home runs, they went deep. Especially, I think didn't he hit from the left side, Candy, if I remember right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Help me out. Fill me in. Take it over.
Yes, he's an outfielder. He bats left, throws right. He made his major league debut back on August 21st of 2020 with the Marlins. What I would say about him is he's got this, and it's kind of this quirk that I noticed when he gets up to bat. He's got this little like Jimmy or shake that he does. But I think what he needs is good coaching, and I think the right fit. Sometimes I think these baseball players get drafted to the wrong team or the wrong. Let's face it, the Marlins have gone through coaches and you don't have consistency. And I think it's like we talk about this in the NFL and quarterbacks and how you need a consistent coach helping you to develop. I think that's one thing that Jesus needs. But yes, he's got a bat. He's got speed on the base as well. So I think this is a good move for Toronto.
What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Sanchez has been a very league average hitter, sitting around just exactly league average in OPS plus in that 100 mark. And we've seen ups and downs out of him. He's going to give you a back end of the lineup bat. You're hoping for at best a 750 OPS year to year, maybe some pop. We saw some home runs last year in Miami, before he kind of fell off a cliff there in Houston, like we were talking about. And then obviously the return being Joey Loperfido there. We saw him have a pretty good AAA outing last year, posting a pretty solid OPS. And then we even saw him go up to the Blue Jays and have a really great time up there and do really well. So I think it's a great return there. Sanchez to me doesn't have much of a ceiling. This is again back of the lineup hitter that you're hoping is going to play up to above that 100 OPS plus mark. But I'm going to Fido as more of an upside potential guy that I think become much better bat and has a far higher ceiling for an organization than Jesus Sanchez ever will.
Tony.
Similar to other people we mentioned, you're just hoping to get a big return on a low risk investment.
Right.
I think they're pretty set in the outfield, but hey man, if you you want to add people who with pop, right? It's almost like in basketball. There's never too many people who can shoot 3-pointers on your team, right? It's never too many people who, when somebody's out or injury, it's 162 games, right? You're going to have to call somebody up. Somebody's going to have to replace somebody for a game or two. Just having that threat in your lineup of a pitcher can't make a mistake because he's going to blast one. That's kind of going to be his role, I feel like, on this team. But like you guys said, styles make situations make players, in a sense. So him being in a winning organization, him playing for certain things for the whole season, and him being there, kind of being nurtured by the Blue Jays, actually being part of this team, that may help him throughout the whole season in general, just giving him a different confidence of where he's at. When he went to the Astros, it's a new place. He's still trying to fit in. That might have had something to do with his game going to the Astros. He's going to be with the Blue Jays, at least for now, right? The foreseeable future. He's there for spring training. He'd probably be more comfortable. That'd probably make him play better.
Yeah, you know what, Tony? You said so many good points, and I'm going to add to it a little bit. You go into a winning organization, just coming off a World Series appearance is one thing. All right, so Bichette's not there, and we'll talk about him at a later date. But you still have a lot of good core players there. You have John Schneider, and you have a lot of good core players there. Toronto's a great place to play ball. They really are, and he'll be there from the beginning, though, spring training. And, the Marlins, again, it was one of those deals you didn't know what kind of team they were going to put on based on budget. Astros spent money. Okay, but they only got him midway through the year. Now he's there from start to finish, at least that's the anticipation is anyways. I like what's going on for Jesus, and I'm going to do my best to try to get him on there. And one of the things we're probably going to incorporate in future shows as well is we're going to use sound bites from some of the players or managers and turn those into topics as well as we go on through the year. So we're just kind of gearing up for all of that now. We're just trying to get a lot of what you call the hot stove news out and some of the things there with the World Baseball Classic. But that's why you're able to have two baseball shows, football shows. There's enough inventory that you can accommodate so many different things. And that's why you have so many interchangeable parts. And I'm excited about it. I've been a baseball guy my whole life anyways, played it, covered it, been to the Cooperstown many times. And for me, doing this is just surreal. Only 3 more topics to go to, but we're really getting through the show in a really nice pace. Let's take a little ride back to baseball history. This dates back to May 27th of 68. There's the MLB awarded franchise to San Diego and Montreal. The Padres and the Expos were born. It is the first time that the league actually expanded beyond its borders. All right, Eric, lead it off. And then, we're going to go around the horn, everybody's opinion again. Eric, start it off, please.
Okay, what was the question?
Sure. We're just talking about baseball history at this point, that the San Diego Padres and the Montreal Expos were born May 27th, 1968, or at least that moment when they started, and they actually went beyond the borders. You got a team in Canada, and you have one actually pretty close to Mexico, too. What are your thoughts about the additions of these two franchises?
I know the Padres at one point were owned by the McDonald's founder, Ray Kroc, who stole McDonald's. But the Montreal Expos were always a team in chaos from day one. Could never get the stadium. They really would only had a handful of good years. I mean, we all know the Expos played for the long after they played first at a community field turned into a major league ballpark, and then they played at a place Olympic Stadium where the Montreal Olympics were held, also known as the Concrete Dump. But it's now the franchise itself, the Expos have found kind of stability in Washington. They got a nice ballpark there, and they won a World Series in 2019. The Padres are still trying to get their first one, but every, for the most part this decade they've been able to be at least consistently contending for the postseason. Haven't quite got over the hump yet, but they've had a few good years themselves. So it's been a good run for them, especially the Padres. And then obviously the Expos took them a while to find stability, but they seemingly have found that in Washington.
Yeah, and actually the Expos played at a place called Jerry Park before they ended up going to Olympic Stadium. And Eric is known in these circles here for calling the Olympic Stadium a concrete dump. Only fitting he makes a comment about concrete dump Olympic Stadium is the Olympics are going on now. It actually is pretty funny how you connect the dots. Go ahead, Candy. You know the topic by now.
The National League voted on May 27th of 68 to expand by two teams, awarding Montreal and San Diego to begin play in the 1969 series. This move added the Expos as the first MLB team in Canada. And one of the interesting things I think is, if you think back 1968, and yes, I know you three young gentlemen on this panel can't remember back then. But to think about it this way, the new franchises were required at that time to pay $10 million to $12.5 million. Quite a bit. Yeah. They rejected bids from Buffalo, Dallas, and Milwaukee at the time to give it to these teams. And along with adding these two on the American League side, they added the Kansas City Royals and the Seattle Pilots in 69. So just a little more tidbits.
All right, Jacob, there's a little bit of a history on these two franchises you want to add to it. You want to add a little Jacob Lintner history to something that dates back way before you were born. In fact, for that matter, we're challenging Candy at that point, age-wise. Not me, though. I was still alive then, barely.
Yeah, I mean, my familiarity with these franchises is what they turned into. So obviously, I don't. The origin stories, I'm not very in touch with, but I do know what these teams turned into, and it's been great to see these organizations come up. And ironically, what we see in Washington with the Nationals now, which were the Expos, and then we talk about San Diego, or you're talking about the Padres. It's funny that those two teams have interacted so much in these trade talks. But it's funny that World Series was actually we've seen over and over these teams just back and forth, the Juan Soto trade and more and more and more. So yeah, that's my extent of commentary on that.
I expected that. So let me give you a little bit more history. We'll talk about spring training since it's appropriate time. The Montreal Expos used to have a Florida State League team and play their spring training games at a stadium called West Palm Beach Municipal Stadium here locally. So that's and I actually remember watching them play Florida State League game. That's okay. Jacob, I really wouldn't have expected a whole lot less out of you than what you provided. You were great. Okay, go ahead, Tony. I don't know what to expect out of you on this one, but go ahead. Yeah, I'll know in a moment.
You know what? Honestly, I'm going to kind of follow up on what was said last Monday or last week when we talked about this, and I didn't think about it, but something that helped the Padres that probably didn't help the Expos was the Expos being in the Northeast and having so many different baseball teams around that's in the United States, opposed to San Diego being so close to the Mexican border, and the weather, of course, matters, and having that population of people that can become Padre fans to help them continue to be a franchise might be one of the big reasons that the Padres were able to flourish and the Expos had to move away. Just posted us on my Instagram, and just funny, I swear these phones listen. I'm looking at Andre Dawson hit home runs for the Expos. So that was pretty cool to actually see about. And just a quote from Andre Dawson, since we talking Expos, him, you don't think about hitting home runs. You just hit singles and home runs happen. So, hey, man, a little Expo legend giving us some game while we're talking about him.
That's okay. Well, I see. That's why I do bring these topics on again once in a while, because, you may not have thought about something the initial time, but all of a sudden you get an opportunity to put it out there again. I'll do that every once in a while if I think the topic is worthwhile. And Tony is exactly the reason why I do this from time to time. And thanks, get to them. Two more topics we're going to get to. This one's going to light up Eric. You know what? You're going to be last on this one, Catsy, because I have no choice.
All right.
So here it is. Scott Boras was actually reportedly tried to sign Shohei Ohtani in 2018, flew to Japan a number of times to recruit him. Ohtani signed with CAA's Nez, I think, Botello. All right, Candy, some thoughts about Ohtani rejecting Boras.
So Boras traveled to Japan 5 times, met with Ohtani's parents to secure him as a client, only for Ohtani to choose a different representation for his career. He is represented by Nez Balio of CAA since coming to the U.S. Reports suggest that because Ohtani was not with a traditional mega agent like Boras, he was able to take the lead on his unique record-setting contract deferrals with the Dodgers in 2023, rather than following a standard high-leveraged agent formula. So, kudos for him. You know, why does Scott Boras have to have all the big name? You know, spread some of the talent around to some of these other agents and spread the money around. You know, just because you have a lot of the major people doesn't mean you should get everyone. So kudos to Shohei, and kudos for him being able to be more in the present to negotiate his contract with the deferrals. Because, I mean, hey, that looks good for him. He's going to be making money for how long?
Okay. Jacob, some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, this was huge for Shohei. We've seen Boras botch so much, obviously being a super agent, but I mean, I've watched free agencies that were layup deals turn into late free agent signings where players weren't prepared for the season and then showed up to get rocked early on. I'm speaking about Jordan Montgomery very recently when we saw the Diamondbacks. It's just a disaster because everyone ever is criticizing it, and it's clearly a flaw in what Boras tries to do with these workarounds and contract terminology and even these delayed deals that he likes to do. Delisted, I believe, is what they call it. And it turns into a disaster, and we see it coming from 100 miles away. So I think for Shohei, this obviously is turned out to be something, as we see his contract currently, that was a great choice by him. But also, man, Boras he frustrates me so much in the way he goes about these things. And I can't believe that it's so predictable what's going to happen, and it continues to happen.
Well, don't worry, because when the next time I bring on another Boras topic, now that you let the Jacob Littner out of the bag, I'm going to make sure you're on that show. And if it's on another show, I'm going to make sure I repeat it on the Saturday show for this crew. So it's good to learn a little bit about Mr. Pittsburgh Pirate, another guy who don't like Boras. Good stuff, Jacob. All right, Tony, go ahead. Give me another classic out of you.
I wouldn't want his ass anyway. No, to follow up with Jacob, man, we've seen this. He will literally have you waiting until after spring training before you sign a deal. Think about Blake Snell a couple years ago, right? Like, and then you lose money sometimes, right? Like Blake Snell could have got paid, and he ended up getting 1-year deals. It doesn't. I wouldn't want him. On the flip side, when you're somebody like Shohei Ohtani, you don't need Scott Boras. You have all the leverage. You're right. Shohei Ohtani. Like when you're like such a great player, you don't need a super agent. You hold all the cards. I am a great player. Now, when it comes to little things in the contract, like the well, I wouldn't say little things when you talk about a $700 million contract. Nothing's little. But when it comes to the details of how the money's paid out, the deferrals and things like that, that's when you'll have somebody on. But you don't need a super agent for that. You just need somebody knowledgeable, you know, of the business. So kudos to Shohei for understanding that he doesn't need a diva like Scott Boras, who seems to want the headlines more than his players. And hey, a smart move. Now, if he can get a translator that don't gamble, he'll be on the up and up.
God, I was waiting for that. Thank God. I knew he was going to pull that one out of his pocket. You know, I'm going to say something before Eric, because it's probably the closest thing to what Eric's rant. You can't have them all, Scott. You can't. And obviously, Shohei proved that you weren't going to get him, and as a result, he made out just fine. All right, Eric. I haven't had Eric's rant in a long time, but this may be the closest take to it. The floor is yours. Remember, Eric, we do have one more topic here we want to get in. So see what you can do. And next one has beef on it too. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, I mean, I any day Scott Boras loses is a good day for baseball. I like to call him the human off-season delay because he represents so many clients, and because his negotiations are long and protracted, probably dragging on longer than the Titanic. They often will delay the hot stove. It's one of the reasons why I've argued that there needs to be a free agency deadline. Other leagues do it, and the players have no issue with it. Major League Baseball can kind of get with the times instead of it being open ended, and then you're screwing the players before they go to spring training into the season because their arms aren't all the way worked out yet. More so on the pitchers than the hitters. Good for Ohtani. I mean, Ohtani, he's a great player. The guy is like literally like one of the international face of Major League Baseball. I mean, the guy's a walking billboard in Japan. I don't think he can leave his home because people know who he is, except Japan. They're at least a little more respectful about it than Americans. He's good. I'm kind of glad that he didn't go with Scott Boras. Can you imagine how long those negotiations would have gone? Gosh, those negotiations might have been longer, that might have actually surpassed the Titanic in terms of days. Again, I'm always good when Boras loses. I mean, I saw it this offseason with Cody Bellinger when the Mets pulled out and the Yankees backed him into a corner, which was pure cinema. But I'm glad. I'm happy for you, Ohtani. I really am. You made a wise decision by letting old man Boras stew in his slump in his office in California.
Okay, well, good. Since that was a longer topic, you did a good job on that. Actually, that's pretty good for you. We're going to start with our final topic of the day, and that's this. Okay, from Eric Hosmer on the idea of harsher punishments for MLB players caught using PEDs. I think the only way this game gets cleaned up and these guys don't risk 80 game suspensions for another couple of years on the back end is take away their guaranteed money. Go, cheers, Eric Hosmer. And now we'll turn over to the other Eric Katz.
I think the punishment that they do now is pretty good. I mean, don't take away the guy's wealth. Don't take away the guy's welfare. There are guys already suspended and not being paid. So, taking away his guaranteed money when he comes back. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? These guys depend on it. You can't just, I don't think, I think baseball though, as a whole, aside from a few gambling incidents here and there, I think baseball is as clean as I think baseball is clean. I mean, you only hear of steroid suspensions and PED suspensions every now and then, but we haven't had a mess like we had in 2013 with biogenesis with Alex Rodriguez, Ryan Braun, and a bunch of other known players and unknown players. So I think that's a little too harsh. I think if anything, I think the punishment fits the crime here, and sometimes it's I just think that either way though. You're not going to prevent something like this from happening. It's going to happen. Why is it, despite the suspensions and the tests and all that, it's still happening. I think that the guy didn't, if someone getting suspended for steroids, it's not like the guy shot anybody, or pulled a Wander Franco. But I think that the guaranteed money thing's a little harsh. If anything though, you should probably do that for guys like Wander Franco.
Okay. Okay, Katie.
When a baseball player takes a substance knowingly and knowing that it's a banned substance, why should you get paid for that? If you knowingly did it, like a lot of us in the industry, in different industries, if in our contracts it says you can't take certain substances and we're going to test you for those substances and then you test positive, a lot of us could be just fired. But we're not firing them. We're just saying, oh, we're going to suspend you. You're not going to be playing. Well, they should be suspended without pay because I'm sorry. You knowingly did it. You knowingly go into the season knowing what you can and can't take. You have plenty of trainers, plenty of other people telling you what is allowed and what isn't. You're trying to make an unfair advantage and that's just not right. Whether Eric, you agree, obviously you don't, but I think because you are making the conscious decision that you shouldn't get paid.
Jacob, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I've always been outwardly opposed to it. Stains my view on players that have dabbled, the Alex Rodriguez's of the world. Always stains my view. Even Pirate, Barry Bonds, like these guys all have to me have an asterisk, maybe bigger than to other people, due to what we know for a fact of being steroid use. Ryan Braun, for example. But yeah, to me, it's a big deal. I think that harsh punishment would make, again, it is clearly written what you can and cannot take. There should be real punishment for it so that we don't see this again. And I think we see these high profile players, and just in general, we see these players are making millions of dollars. Like we see an 80 game suspension, we see maybe 100 game suspension, but nothing harsh enough to where it's like, I'm going to for sure never make this mistake. And I think that leaves a little bit of room for actual honest mistake. But yeah, I truly believe that it's a really big deal, and it should be treated as such and discouraged, so that we would keep I think it's really important to keep the integrity of the game, that we don't have in the back of our minds this idea that, okay, this player is having a breakout year out of nowhere, but maybe that's because he's using PEDs. Like I would love to just have where he's having a breakout year because he's having a breakout year, and we don't have to think twice about it.
Great stuff. I'll say this before I set Tony up again, because I like setting Tony up for the big one. Tony reminds me of like a NASCAR situation. And here's what it is, okay? You know, you never know when the big one's going to come out. But with Tony, with all his candid comments, they're always coming out. So here I'm going to put it to you this way. Everybody in the NFL bickers about not enough guaranteed money, right? NBA, there's too much of it going around, right? MLB, you have a lot of it going around, right? I had no sympathy at all if you go into their pocket. I agree 100% with Eric Hosmer saying, get into their pockets big time and take away their games. You know, like Eric mentioned earlier, right? Then you mentioned, Eric, for every time somebody's suspended, you lose money off of the game stuff as well, right? I think you mentioned that earlier, if I remember right? Well, same holds true with this. Eric Hosmer hits a bullseye with this. Take away their guaranteed money. Go to NFL contracts. I'll guarantee these baseball guys aren't going to like it. They're not going to like it when you have to deal with a salary gap. Deal with this, and all of a sudden Hosmer hits a bullseye. All right, and just like it, Tony's going to hit a bullseye now.
Yeah, I agree with Eric Hosmer. I don't know if like guarantee, because that changes the way that you structure contracts in general, you know, but maybe go college death penalty where you got to set out a whole year, not 80 games. You got to set out a whole year, because a whole year of a contract pay, now that's going to really hurt your pockets. So maybe not just take away the guaranteed money. Like when you come back the year after, your contract can continue. But for this whole year, you're not sitting out due to like this isn't injury, this isn't anything. So if you're scheduled to make $10 million, that is gone. I think that's probably the happy medium to do that, because it gets tricky when you go into restructuring all the players' contracts and putting that language in. But if the MLB can just strike you down right away and it be an MLB thing, I think that's probably the best course of action for this. But something has to happen. I know it doesn't happen enough. I mean, a lot, like you said, Eric, but it happens enough, right? Like when you see somebody come down and get an 80-game suspension, you're like, it's not really surprising. Like you're not like baffled when you see this. So you put stuff in place to people really think about it, because nowadays you get a list of what you can take. If you don't know, your trainer knows, right? Like, and if you're ignorant to it, you still are at fault. You know what I'm saying? Like you still should be punished for it, because you should want to know what you're putting in your body anyway. So I bet you take a whole year away from a player, that'll get them right.
Yeah, actually, one of my best friends in the industry, and I go back to my days with Fort Lauderdale Yankees. I have to get back in touch with him soon. I'd like to get out to Lakeland, and hopefully I can do it, but that won't happen until after the WDC. There's a guy by the name of Kevin Rand, R-A-N-D, and Candy will tell you, Kevin and I have a great relationship. I mean, we're like brothers, him and I, and he can tell you any trick you want to know about everything we're discussing as well, guaranteed. We're not going to talk about Hosmer with Kevin, but it's the whole idea. All these sports where you don't have guaranteed money, they appreciate that it's a year to year. And baseball has a little bit more security than most of them. And that's where I think that Eric Hosmer's point is well taken as well. Great job with this group here today. So with that said, I'm going to go around the horn, and then Candy's going to take us the rest of the way home. I want to thank Jacob Lintner for coming on today. Jacob, you were absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to having you on more shows when the situation presents itself. I think what I'm going to do in the back of my mind is hopefully plan on you in April so you can take care of your spring training and provide stories. And you always have an open window to text me anytime you want to come on as well. I know Monday nights don't work for you, but we have a different group altogether for them. So, but meanwhile, Eric, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
You can follow me on my Twitter account at Sports Team News, or you can check out my blog at bellyofsports.com, where I'm writing about all things Milwaukee Brewers. And if you think I don't like your team, I probably don't.
Great stuff, Eric. How do you like that, Jacob? If you don't like the team, you probably don't. All right, Jacob, why don't you put all your information out there, my friend? Good intro earlier. Now I'll let you finish off with a conclusion.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Thank you. You can find me on Twitter at Lintner Media, and Instagram is my name. So thank you so much for the opportunity today.
Well, I thank you very much for coming on. You fit in really great. I'm so proud of you. I'm looking forward to collaborating and working with you in the future. All right, Tony, you know the drill.
Yeah, y'all know where y'all can find me. Find me here Mondays, 180 Stitches Baseball. You can catch me Wednesday, Talking Game 3:30. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Wednesday nights, you can catch me on the Sports Exchange where Scott, I don't know if I need to watch CNN or ESPN throughout the week to get ready for him. Saturdays, we're here talking baseball. And then shortly after, because in 10 minutes, I have to do our wrestling podcast, Tour Off for SmackDown, with my guy Rainey, where we go through the week of WWE. So, yeah. Oh, and where you can find me, I'm sorry, I'm going through the shows, but Talking Game 1 on all social media. And if you want to subscribe to the YouTube, it's Tony Talking Game on YouTube.
Great stuff, Tony. All right, give us our final one. We got to get Tony out of here so he can do his deal. All right, Candace.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth, talks about his 40-plus years in the media and how it has changed, old school media versus new school media. There's a picture of a young Scott with a young Tommy Lasorda. So go get the book, look at the picture. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also audio. You can find the link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where we have a plethora of great content. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, and turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live.
Well, that does it for us on Talking Baseball. I want to thank everybody for joining us on behalf of Eric, Katz, Candy, Eric, Jacob Lintner. I've gotten it right all show, and Tony. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. A little tongue-tied there. Thank you for joining us. And I'll tell you what, we'll have a big lineup on, what do we have, Candy? Today's Saturday, right? Monday night. So actually, Eric and Tony, you will be on this Monday night, of course, obviously, because we're going to probably be busy next week. So we'll hit Eric, Candy, and Tony on to go along with the rest of our veteran crew on Monday night. It'll be in 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, as well as our regular programming as well. So on behalf of my incredible group here, which you're going to see a lot more of them, I'm proud of every one of them. They gave me their best shot, and I'm proud of them, as well as everybody in the chat room. Thank you very much for joining us every weekend. And by the way, if you want to watch hockey tomorrow, if you're in Canada, just a little something you should think of. They're actually serving beer at 6 a.m. in the morning so that the Canadians can go out there. This is a true story, believe it or not. 6 a.m. in the morning that you can go out there and drink. We'll see we'll see what happens on Monday night. Who's drinking? Never mind. Tony's got to get out of here. I can't keep this guy anymore. He's great. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Tony, I went a little bit, but you were awesome, man. Thanks, everybody. God bless. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Bye now.
Oh, y'all be good.
You too. Thanks, Tony. God bless. You're good.